wie geht's euch? Willkommen zu meinem Kanal. Ich bin der Aaron. Mir geht's ganz gut. I'm doing really well today. I hope you are too. Welcome to my channel. I'm Aaron. Today I just have one simple sentence. It's not so simple, but one sentence in German that I did take from Der kleine Duden, a Deutsche Grammatik. And we're going to just analyze that sentence. I hope it shows you some tricks as to how German works and give you some basic idea of what you're looking at when you read a German sentence. So first of all, I'm going to read this sentence out loud for you. And it's a sentence about language. It's a sentence that tells us about words. So Wörter sind in einem schriftlichen Text, wie zum Beispiel diesem Satz, alle Buchstabenfolgen, die durch Zwischenräume voneinander getrennt sind. I'll read that one more time, more quickly for you. Wörter sind in einem schriftlichen Text, wie zum Beispiel diesem Satz, alle Buchstabenfolgen, die durch Zwischenräume voneinander getrennt sind. So, this is a sentence that tells us that words are in a spoken text, like, for example, such as, for example, this sentence. All sequences of letters. All sequences of letters which, through spaces in between spaces from one another separated are. Okay, so we've got two verbs here, sind and getrennt sind. These are verbal structures. The verb usually will come in the second position of a sentence or at the very end of a clause. So we've got three clauses here. 1, 2, 3. By the way, I'm giving this explanation in English because the comments asking about where to start in German have been in English. If you're in Austria or Germany or another German-speaking place, we can make a different video to help you out. Hopefully you're taking German classes. Wörter sind. So we've got the first position is the subject of the sentence. In the second position, we have the verb. And this is typical of German grammar. Wörter sind. Was sind Wörter? What are words? Words are all sequences of letters. Okay, so we've got the word Buchstabe. Buchstabe means a letter, such as B, U, C, H, S, T, A, B, E. Buchstabe. That's a sequence of letters. So saying words are all sequences of letters. Words are sequences of letters. That's the basic sentence that we've got. And then which from one another are separated. Okay, so when you have this here, which means which or that, this is a type of pronoun and it's also a conjunction. This is a relative pronoun, which is a conjunction. And the reason it looks like this D is because it's plural and it refers to these sequences of letters. Sequences, it's plural. Sequences of letters. Okay, we know that folgen means to follow. So in English, this idea of a sequence, in Romance languages, this idea of a sequence is related to the German root of to follow. Okay, the letters that follow one another. Okay, so words are letters that follow one another. All letters that follow one another. All is a sort of determiner. It tells us which sequences of letters. All sequences of letters. This again is plural because we've got words are all sequences of letters that, and this is plural again because there's a comma, and then you've got this conjunction, this Bindewort. Bindewort is a conjunction. It's also a preposition because it's, I'm not a preposition, it's a pronomen because it's like Stellvertreter des Substantivs. It's standing in for the noun. It stands in for the noun of Buchstabenfolgen, sequences of letters. This is a compound noun in German. So words are all sequences of letters that from one another separated are. That are separated from one another is how we would say this in English. Okay, let's talk about a couple things that we're looking at. We're looking at different stems of words and also the affixes, so the prefixes, the suffixes of these. So for example, here we've got a word voneinander, from one another. In English this would be 3 words, but as you can see, another, we recognize that as 2 words that are put together to create a new word. It's not an other. We put this together and we get rid of the space and it becomes a new word, another, another. From one another is voneinander, voneinander. When you have this, this type of a conjunction, this relative pronoun, it will cause the verb in that clause to be at the end of the sentence. And the active verb, the verb that's conjugated, is sind. Aktives Verb. This is a past participle. In fact, it's Partizip 2, we call it in German, because it tells us about that the idea of being separated is a past tense item. Just like in English, separated, the ed tells us that it's already done. So it's actually not in progress, but it's separated. So again, words are all sequences of letters which are separated from one another. Now, different kinds of affixes. Some kinds are derivative affixes, which means that it changes sometimes the class of the word. This is not the case here. This is a Flexionsaffix. Okay, that won't work. Getrennt. This T and the GE are what you do to a verb to make it in the past tense. Trennen means to separate. Getrennt means separated. So trenn is the stem of the word. This is the to separate. This is the part that makes it infinitive. Now, when you use it in the past tense, getrennt. Getrennt means it's separated. Okay. So, voneinander getrennt. Sie sind voneinander getrennt. So I can say, Sie sind voneinander getrennt. Wörter sind. Another way to say this is Wörter sind voneinander getrennt. Period. It's another way to think of it. Words are separated from one another. Okay? So I'm going to erase, make some more room here. What else can I show you? Okay. I can show you that a noun has a gender. Ein Wort, das Wort. So if you look at all the times that this word comes in to play, often it is accompanied by either a word, the word, some sort of article, which is a small word that comes before it. Here we don't have that because it's in plural. So words are, words in general. To make this plural, we would add er and add dots over the o. So Wörter. These dots over the o are called an umlaut. You may already be familiar with that. There are 7 different ways to make plural in German. It sounds difficult, but it's really not too bad. In this particular case, you add er and dots. So in a dictionary or in a vocabulary list, it would be marked as such. Add the suffix er and add dots over the main vowel. Wörter sind in einem schriftlichen Text, wie zum Beispiel diesem Satz, alle Buchstabenfolgen, die durch Zwischenräume voneinander getrennt sind. Okay, let's analyze a little bit more. Here we've got something in nominative because it's the subject of the sentence. Nominative equals subject, most times. The subject case. In German we have 4 cases. 4 cases. Nominative, accusative, dative, and genitive. Here we've got Wörter sind. So this noun here, this noun phrase is just one word, Wörter, sind in einem schriftlichen Text. Words are, and this is parenthetical, but it's not marked with parentheses. Words are in a written text. Okay, here's a noun. In a written text. That is a dative noun phrase. Because we're using the preposition in. Preposition is a Verhältniswort. It's a relationship word, and it tells us what relationship this phrase has. It has a dative relationship because where are the words found? They're found in a written text. So dative corresponds to the answering the question, wo. One way we know it's dative because it answers the question, wo, where. Another reason I know it's dative is because this preposition in can only be accusative or dative. So these cases are associated with specific prepositions as well as with usage. And so in this instance, in is a giveaway that it's got to be accusative or dative. Now, in einem schriftlichen Text, I've got these endings. I've got these, they are Flexionsaffixe. They are inflectionary suffixes. Because we've got the word ein in German. But text is a der word. It's a masculine word. Der, text, is the nominative form of this word. Now, in a dative construction, I would have to add em to this article and then en to any accompanying adjectives. So these are Flexionsaffixe. These are inflectionary suffixes. Okay, I've got also another kind of suffix, this lich. So this word schriftlichen, it means written text. In English, it sounds like a past participle. Written is the past participle of to write. But Schrift means like script in German. Schriftlich is the adjective form of that. And then this en is really just here, it has no meaning in terms of, there's no lexical meaning, but it does have a grammatical meaning because it tells us that these words all go together. These words all form part of a dative group. And it's based on in a text, in a written text. Okay, so words are in a written text, such as wie zum Beispiel. Zum Beispiel, this is an abbreviation. Zum Beispiel, for example. Zum Beispiel, you can learn it as a chunk of words because when you hear zum Beispiel means for example, for example. So this means as for example. Wie means how in a question. Wie? Wie bitte? Can you repeat that? Wie bitte? Wie? How? But here, wie means as. Just like in Spanish, we have that como y como. This is a question. This is the word as or like. So here, Wörter sind in einem schriftlichen Text, wie zum Beispiel diesem Satz, Komma. So we're saying words are in a written text, such as, for example, this sentence. Okay, now here, sentence is a noun. And then diesem is a determiner. But diesem comes from dies. There are different forms of this word dies. You can have diese, dieser, diesem, diesem, dieses. There are different forms of this depending on the grammatical position of this word. So in this case, we've got dative again because we're taking this idea of in a written text, such as in, we're just assuming this comes back down here, such as in this sentence, such as in this sentence. So this in applies also here because of the comma, I'm sorry, this comma here, because it's between these two commas, it's actually telling us that this in still applies. So words are in a written text, such as, like, for example, in this sentence, comma, all sequences of letters, comma, which through, and this is a preposition, through spaces from one another are separated. Okay, so zwischen means in between. Räume means spaces. So what they're talking about is these spaces in between words. These are all spaces and they separate words, as you're well aware. So this looks crazy, right? But words are in a written text, such as in this sentence, or for example, in this sentence, all sequences of words which, through spaces from one another, are separated. So I hope that helps you, and yeah, let me know in the comments if this was just too much or if this was helpful to you. Actually, I think I can give you some more idea. Let me show you a little bit more about the cases. I mentioned that prepositions kind of determine which cases we have. Nominative is your subject case. Anything that's not in an object position is nominative. Then we've also got dative, which tells us either where something is or that that thing is an indirect object. So I think this is a little too much with all the erasing, but what I've got here is durch, Zwischenräume is an accusative because durch takes accusative. Prepositions will govern the noun phrase. So this is a compound noun, Zwischenräume, in between spaces. Spaces is the main part of this, the head of this word. Zwischen tells us in between spaces. What kind of spaces? In between spaces. Just like here we have sequences. What kind of sequences? Letter sequences. Sequences of letters. Of letters. This is a compound noun, but it's got this en that combines this Buchstabe to Folge. Buchstabenfolgen. This n is a plural n because we have more than one sequence, and this n connects. This is a genitive connection. Genitive tells us of what, or the origin of something. So it's sequences of letters. And this idea of voneinander, von is always a dative pronoun as well. So although this is within It's kind of self-contained inside of a word, but von will also give us a dative construction. So, Wörter sind in einem schriftlichen Text, wie zum Beispiel diesem Satz, alle Buchstabenfolgen, die durch Zwischenräume voneinander getrennt sind. So we've got each noun can be considered to be inside of some sort of, it belongs to some sort of case. And the only one we haven't talked about is it's alle Buchstabenfolgen. Because Wörter sind alle Buchstabenfolgen, you've got nominative equals nominative. Das Haus ist blau. The house is blue. These things are equal to one another. So they're both in the nominative case. I hope this helped you. Friends, let me know what you thought, and we'll see you next time. Thank you. Vielen Dank. Tschüss.